because your leadership style has a specific place where it's going to be effective and it's going to flourish. Not to say that you won't be effective at all the levels that you apply for, but I believe that there is a specific place where you are going to thrive. You don't want to just be in a place where you are going to survive. You want to be in a place where you are going to thrive. What's going on, aspiring school leader? I am Dr. Donovan Smalls II, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom. I help aspiring school leaders land their first leadership role, navigate complex dynamics, enhance communication skills, and drive instructional excellence. Today, we are going to be talking about a topic that I think is extremely important, especially around this time of year. And the title is, It's Hiring Season. 5 things you need to prepare for your first leadership role. So if you didn't know it, hopefully you are learning about the fact that it is actually hiring season. And this is the season where you're going to see job opportunities that are going to open up. And so I truly want you to be prepared because you are striving to step into your first leadership role. There are some specific things that I think are going to be extremely important as we unpack this topic, because you want to be ready before it's time for you to apply. You want to make sure that you have all of your resources together so that when it's time to apply, you can actually be ready for the opportunity when it presents itself. So I'm going to go through 5 things you need to prepare for your first leadership role. Number 1 is gather your references. The right references don't just vouch for you. They validate your leadership potential. So clearly, as you are striving to be a school leader, there are going to be people that can vouch for your leadership potential. You have not been a school leader yet, and so the hiring committee is just going to have to go off of the potential that they see on your resume, the potential that they see based on your references and what they say about you. And so when you are gathering or when you are thinking about the people that you want to ask to write you some sort of reference letter, or for you to put down their name, their contact information on your application, you want to be thinking about people who, number 1, have the title of a leader. Hopefully you know someone that is currently a principal. You know somebody maybe that is in a higher level district position that can vouch for your potential, right? Some sort of supervisor that can speak to who you are as a leader in addition to your amazing teaching skills. And then when it comes to your references, you want to start gathering them now, because it's going to take time for those individuals who are writing reference letters for you or recommendation letters for you to write those letters and get them back to you. They might request additional information. They might ask you, okay, what is it that you want me to highlight in the letter so that it can position you to be a better candidate or the ideal candidate for the position. And so you want to give them ample time to write the letter, right? You're going to be asking 3 to 5 people to write a recommendation or a reference letter for you. And so you want to give them the time to write the letter in a way that doesn't allow you to miss out on an opportunity because you're waiting on letters to return back to you. So start working on those reference letters now. Start asking your contacts now so that when that position comes about, you will be ready. So number 1 was gather your references. Number 2, update your resume. Your resume isn't just a list of jobs. It's your leadership story on paper. So when people are looking at your resume, they're looking at how they can make connections to your leadership potential. What is it that is on your resume that's going to stand out to the hiring committee, to human resources, that they are going to look at your resume and say, maybe this person will be a good fit for our district, for our organization. So it is a story. And you want to make sure that you know your story inside and out. You do not want to have something on your resume that you are not able to speak to if you are asked a question about it during your interview. So know your resume inside and out. Be able to speak to different things that may seem like it's a red flag or may seem like it's a concern for the hiring committee. How can you spin something on your resume, right? Like maybe you have a gap in terms of when you worked a specific school leadership job, school job as a teacher versus something else that you did because you had to step away from education. What is it that you can speak to turn that into a positive, as opposed to just allowing the hiring committee to look at that as a negative? So know what's on your resume. Update your resume, understand that it is a story, and you must be able to speak to the specific details and intricacies of your resume. Number 3, determine your unique positioning or grade level. And I want to park here a little bit today because I think that this is also something that, God has been dealing with me as it relates to, when spending time in my quiet time, right? It's really about understanding 2 things. Number 1, you have to start understanding your place of grace, but also your pace of grace. And we'll unpack those in a second. But knowing where you fit best helps decision makers see you as the perfect match. Let me say that one more time. Knowing where you fit best helps decision makers see you as the perfect match. So when I talk about the grade level or where you fit best, it could be elementary, it could be middle, it could be high school. I want you to do some self-reflection to see maybe where your specific experiences align the most. You want to be able to speak to the unique developmental opportunities of each level, or not of each level, but of the level that you think that you desire. You might have a mentor that might say, hey, just apply to any level that you see because you want to get your foot in the door. And then once you are in the door, once you are hired for the specific position, you can then navigate to the level where you feel most comfortable. And I don't necessarily agree with that, right? Because I think that there is a place of grace that we all have. Just because you are an amazing leader, you are ambitious, you have the skills, you have the ability, you have the talent, you have the ambition, you are adaptable and you can lead in any particular context, right? Because you know who you are, doesn't always mean that the environment is going to be best for you. There's a specific way, there's a specific set of ideals, right? There's favor in the environment that you go in that is going to be best for you. What I mean by that is, let's say you make a mistake. You step into your first leadership role and you make a mistake. You're learning throughout that process. This is your first leadership role. How are the people in the organization in that particular context going to deal with you? How are they going to handle you if you make a mistake? Are they going to immediately write you off because you're non-tenured and they can get rid of you at the end of the school year? Or are they going to give you grace in that particular place, in that environment that allows them to see, okay, this person just needs a little bit more growth and development. They need a mentor that is going to show them the way. How are the people in the community going to handle you? How are they going to relate to you? How are they going to deal with you just based on your leadership style? Because your leadership style has a specific place where it's going to be effective and it's going to flourish. Not to say that you won't be effective at all the levels that you apply for, but I believe that there is a specific place where you are going to thrive. You don't want to just be in a place where you are going to survive. You want to be in a place where you are going to thrive. You want to be in a place where you are going to flourish. And so I believe that as you do some self-reflection on what level you think that you are going to be best in, I think it's important to think about that and apply to that particular role respectively. I think that that's extremely important. I think that's an often overlooked aspect of applying to specific levels. Think about and do the self-reflection to see where your place of grace is. And so as you're doing research on the specific level where you want to be, I want you to look at the school, look at the cultural context that you are going to be walking into. That's going to tell you a lot as well based on where you need to be. Because if you're an equity-driven leader and the cultural context of the district that you're going into does not even want to mention the word equity, then maybe you probably don't want to go there, right? And I understand that it may be an opportunity for you to get yourself in the door, but at what cost, right? And it might not just be about equity. It could be about anything. See, you're not just being you're not going to be interviewed just to see if you're a good fit. Before the interview even happens, you want to do your research to see if they will be a good fit for you. Do your ideals align? Do your values align? Because if they don't, that might not necessarily be a place where you want to be. That might not be your place of grace. But if you notice that this is a district that you believe that you can thrive, you believe that you are going to have favor there. You believe that you are going to be handled and dealt with in terms of the communication between adults and families and whatever the case is. If you believe that this is best for you after doing your research, then I would say, yes, go ahead and apply to this particular district. But you have to do your research first. I would not say just apply just because you see that there's an open position. You have a specific place of grace where you are going to thrive and flourish. And then when we also talk about your pace of grace, right? I want you to think about this. Just because you believe that you're ready to step into school leadership, you have cultivated a level of experience, you've been teaching for 10, 15 years, and you believe that you are ready. Just because you believe that you're ready doesn't mean that you're actually ready. In terms of your pace, right? Doesn't mean that the timing is right. I'm not saying that you're not ready in terms of your skill, your abilities, and your talents. You are an amazing instructional leader. You understand curriculum and development. You get it. But there is also timing that you cannot dismiss and something that you don't control. So I want you to be cognizant of your place of grace, where you're going to be best utilized, and your pace of grace, the timing at which you are applying, right? It might not necessarily be your time right now, but maybe next year. Or it might be the exact time right now that you need to be putting in your applications because it is your time. And sometimes you don't know the time, or you don't know whether it is your time unless you apply, right? But I don't want you to be discouraged if you don't get the position that you are ultimately looking for, because it just might not be your time. But put your best foot forward, put in that application, and see where you land. So number 3, determine your unique positioning or grade level. Number 4, prepare for common interview questions. Great leaders don't just answer questions. They tell compelling stories that showcase their impact. What stories can you connect in terms of your leadership capacity, your leadership potential, that are going to show the impact that you make as an educator, that can forecast the impact that you're going to make as a school leader? What stories can you tell that are going to demonstrate the type of team player that you are going to be when you land your first leadership role? Think about all of your experiences, because you do have stories that you can speak to, right? So that you're not just answering the questions that they ask you during your interview or even in your application, right? Because in your application, many times there are specific questions. There might be like 2 or 3 or 4 questions that you're being asked, and you don't just want to answer the question without giving some context behind it and highlighting your experiences so that people can get an idea of how you are going to lead, the type of team player that you are going to be, how you are going to relate to students and staff. So start connecting the story, start thinking about what you can pull from to show your humanity, to show who you are as a person, because you are going to be dealing with people. One of the main things about leadership is that you're in the people business. And so people want to know, right? The hiring committee wants to know that you are going to be a people person in terms of you being able to connect with people, give valuable feedback, be a servant leader, all of those things, right? How are you going to meet the needs of the people in the community? And the hiring committee wants to be able to see that. So number 4, prepare for common interview questions and think about the stories that you can pull from to showcase your impact. And lastly, number 5, build your network. The right connections can open doors that qualifications alone cannot. We know that getting roles sometimes, landing positions, are not just about you having the most skill, having the most talent, having the most experience. Sometimes it's about who you know. But most times it's about who knows you, because just because you know somebody doesn't mean that they know you. So you want to consider who you know. It doesn't mean that you won't have to go through the entire process of being interviewed and doing everything that you need to do step by step, submitting your application, all of those things. It doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that you can be put on somebody's radar, right, on the front of their mind, if you have some sort of connection and start building your network. And I want you to think also about how you can leverage LinkedIn or social media and use that as your digital resume, so that when people are looking you up, when people are doing their research about you, they can see actually who you are and what you are about. I think it's important that you consider, right, in this digital age that we live in, how can you leverage every aspect of who you are and your professional experiences on LinkedIn, because it is a professional platform, so that people can see you have the experience, but also highlight a little bit of your personality, right, in a professional way, obviously, that can speak to who you are, what you can do, and the values that you can bring to the community that you desire. So build your network. I can't say that enough. It's not always about your skill. It's not always about your talent. It's about, are you going to be a good fit for the organization that you're going into? And sometimes your network, and maybe they might not be able to open a door for you. They could speak to the environment that you are applying for, or the school district that you're applying for, right? They might be able to speak to that environment because they have experience in an area where you don't. So build your network. Today, we talked about 5 things you need to prepare for your first leadership role, because it is hiring season and I want you to be ready. So number 1 was gather your references. Number 2, update your resume. Number 3, determine your unique positioning or grade level. Prepare for common interview questions. And number 5, build your network. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, be sure to share it with someone else so that I can continue to impact aspiring leaders and help them land their first leadership role. As always, I hope you have a great week of teaching, leading, and learning. Take care.
I love that you talked about mindset, because mindset is extremely important as you become a school leader. And so that leads us into our second complexity, which is navigating the learning curve, right? Whenever you are promoted to the next level in your career, you will always begin as a novice. So it doesn't matter that you are an effective classroom teacher, you have raving reviews from your students. Becoming a school leader is a different skill set. And so we need to start teaching aspiring school leaders that it takes a level of emotional intelligence and self-awareness to understand Just because you got results doesn't mean you're going to get results here. You need to work at this. And so one of the things I constantly think about is the fact that the learning curve can be steep. As a teacher, I'm walking into the building with a set schedule. As a leader, I might have a set schedule if I'm planning properly, but it might immediately become obsolete as soon as I walk in the building. The learning curve that I had to navigate was I'm walking in the building with my bags on. Teachers are firing questions at me. I haven't even made it to my desk yet. How am I navigating that? With being tactful.